We begin with drama that erupted at the Langata Road Primary School after police lobbed tear gas canisters at pupils aged between 6 to 14 years. Now, the pupils who were protesting the alleged grabbing of their school playground by a private developer brought down the walls that had been put up by the developer. At least 3 pupils were rushed to hospital after tear gas canisters were lobbed at them, and one police officer was also injured after the pupils hurled stones at the police officers who were trying to repulse them. 2 activists were also arrested. Now, the activists were part of a group that had joined the pupils in the demonstration. Dozens of motorists along Langata Road were caught unawares and suffered the fumes of the tear gas that were lobbed along the road to repulse the protesters. The pupils started playing on the disputed land after managing to pull down the perimeter wall, and the pictures that you're seeing are what transpired earlier. Scenes that we've just been viewing from the Langata Road Primary School earlier, and just in case you missed it, this was after police lobbed tear gas canisters at pupils who we've seen there crying, aged between 6 and 14 years, for protesting the alleged grabbing of their school playground by a private developer. Obviously, that story is going to develop, and we're going to bring you all the updates as the day unfolds. Still in the public school sector, the public schools, as we know, reopened today after 2 weeks of a countrywide teachers' strike over pay. And parents and students in northern Kenya are hopeful that teachers will resume work after assurances by the government on their security. About 1,000 teachers who work in Mandera, Wajir and Garissa had requested to be transferred to other areas, citing insecurity. Now, the Teachers Service Commission has since rejected their request, saying the government has guaranteed the security of the teachers. TSC further says that police officers will be posted in learning institutions and other public institutions, while patrols will be intensified. Terrorist attacks in northern Kenya late last year led to the death of at least 18 teachers. And so let's get the situation on the ground in Wajir, and we're now joined by way of telephone by Ahmed Mohamed Aidan, and he's the principal of Wajir High School. And Mr. Mohamed, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Unfortunately, it seems that his line has disconnected just as we were about to speak to him. We're going to try and get him back on the phone just so that he can give us a clearer picture of what is happening on the ground. But we now move to Eastlands area of Nairobi, where Governor Evans Kidero is expected to lead the demolition of condemned buildings. And our reporter Sharon Momanyi is on this bit, and she now joins us on phone for more details. Sharon, so a lot of people expected to lose their homes because these properties were apparently constructed without the authorization of the Nairobi County Council. Sharon Momanyi? Okay, we can't reach her at the moment, so it seems that we have a problem with our phone connections. We'll definitely get back to both Sharon and Mr. Mohammed Aidan. But in Kakamega, one person perished on the spot while 5 others escaped death narrowly in an accident along Lurambi-Musikoma Road in Kakamega County. Now, the accident occurred after a lorry ferrying sugarcane overturned at Namakoye area. The 5 who survived the accident were admitted at the Navakolo Sub-County Hospital in critical condition.
Ilikuwa spidi sana. Na nilipotokea kule ilikuwa inakuja, ilikuwa inataka kupika hii kona. Alafu ilipokuwa inapika kona, yup, na hii lori ikaanguka huko. Driver alitembea tu na mwenyewe, alikuwa anatembea tu. Mwisho wake ilifikia tu wangu akasema hapana, mimi sijaumia, lakini mwisho wake nguvu ziliisha tu. Na akafanya nini? Na nilipowauliza, mlikuwa ngapi tu? Akasema tulikuwa watu 4 tu. Na hapa chini, hapa kwa driver cabin tulikuwa watu wangapi? 2, driver na mtu mmoja. Kwa hivyo 5 wakaumia, driver na wengine 4 wameumia. Na mmoja naye ndio akapaki pale kwa miwa akafariki. Na wale wengine 5 wameenda na Navakolo hospitali.
Kati ya kuweka miwa pia tunatakana pia watu wenye wanafanya loading, kwa sababu ya overloading nafikiri ndio ilifanya hii lori kaanguka pia. Lazima tuweke ile kiwango inayohitajika.
Now, earlier in this bulletin, we had reported that parents and teachers of northern Kenya are hopeful that teachers will resume work there after assurances by government that their security has been catered for. And still on that story, we understand that a number of teachers have made their way to the Teachers Service Commission and NAT offices here in Nairobi. And according to the information that we're receiving, the teachers are demanding to be transferred from northeastern Kenya, citing insecurity. Now, these demands come after both the TSC and government officials assured teachers of their safety in northern Kenya after 18 of their colleagues were killed late last year. It is a developing story that we're following up for you, and we will certainly get the details in our subsequent bulletins.
SRC is coming in to give a framework. We are saying as a union, if you are demanding for certain wage for your members, within what framework? What is the value of that employee? So if we will give the framework, we will still give the due consideration to the collective bargaining agreement, because we will only but be dealing with employers. Employers will be the ones to dialogue with us in terms of what can the economy accommodate within this financial period, and that is what they will use to sit and negotiate with the unions. So that action, and which is also enshrined within the Constitution, is a requirement that the union will continue negotiating. All we will do is to bring harmony, to bring equity, and to bring fairness.
We're still trying to get in touch with Mr. Ahmed Mohammed Aidan, who is a principal of Wajir High School, to give us a clearer picture of the situation on the ground. But elsewhere, the African Independent Church in Gitwamba, Gatanga, was closed yesterday following a leadership clash between 2 factions. Now, the two groups held concurrent Sunday services within the same church hall. It took the intervention of the police to restore order, even though tension remained high. Now, one group accused their bishop, retired Reverend Gatama, of installing a new pastor in the church without the consent of the members. The group opposed the opening of the church, which had been closed for 5 weeks. KTN Newsdesk, where we air what should actually be the most improbable of situations. But let's go back to this story that we're following for you. Public schools reopening today after a 2-week countrywide teachers strike over pay. But we are saying that parents and students in northern Kenya are hopeful that teachers will resume work after assurances by the government on their security. We do know that about 1,000 teachers who work in Mandera, Wajir and Garissa had requested to be transferred to other areas citing insecurities, and the Teacher Service Commission has since rejected their request, saying the government has guaranteed the security of the teachers. Now, TSC also further says that police officers will be posted in learning institutions and other public institutions while patrols will be intensified. But the question we're asking is, have they resumed school? And so Ahmed Mohammed Aidan, who is the principal of Wajir High School, now joins us by way of telephone. We hope the connection is better. Mr. Mohammed, if you can hear us, the first question I pose to you is, have the teachers resumed your particular school?
Yes, the some have reported back, but there are few yet who come back to school.
All right, and those who have resumed, how many of them are not indigenous Mandera residents?
6 of them are not the indigenous teachers of Mandera, and they are back to school, but there are others who are yet to report to the school.
Okay, we're seeing government giving several assurances of teacher security in the area, saying that they will even go as far as posting police officers in learning institutions. Have we seen this? We know that schools only reopened today, but is there any indication that this is happening?
I think the security situation has been beefed up in the Wajir, and as far as we are concerned, there is no cause for panic, and I think that there's no insecurity problem now. The government is under control, and I can assure you there's no insecurity as far as Wajir High School and the entire northern region is concerned. And one thing that you should know is that even the teachers from private schools in Mandera, Wajir and Garissa, who are non-locals, have already reported to those private schools that learning is going on.
Okay, I do understand that it's your opinion that Mandera County is very safe, but I'm keen to know if these police officers we're being told will be posted to learning institutions are actually there.
As far as I'm concerned, the Wajir High School, every time around the school here, we have proper security officers who are always coming around the school, and in Wajir High School, the security inside there, the school compound, and all the teachers reside in school who are coming from other parts of Kenya. As far as I'm concerned, I think there's no security threat to the teachers in Wajir County.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Now, Mr. Mohammed, you did say that there's some teachers who've resumed who are not originally from Mandera. Have you been able to speak to them and see where they are mentally? Are they feeling safe? Are they seeking transfers, or they're happy now?
In fact, the ones who have already reported, 6 of them and they're very comfortable. They have never asked me for any transfer, and they're in school as we speak, and they are, teaching.
Okay. Have you been able to establish contact with those of them, the ones who you're saying have not resumed school yet?
It's my hope that they're on the way coming. And I've tried to talk to some of them, and some of them have told me they are reporting. None of them have told me they're not coming back.
All right, thank you very much. We've just been speaking to Ahmed Mohammed Aidan. He's a principal of Wajir High School, and he tells me that the teachers who were not from Mandera have resumed, and some of them, he is hopeful, will return. They have not given any indication that they will not be resuming school. And we now go back to another developing story in Eastlands area, right here in the capital, where Governor Evans Kidero is actually expected to lead the demolition of condemned buildings. And our reporter Sharon Momanyi, I now understand, is now on the phone with us. Sharon, you've been following this story, and I understand that these buildings are set to come down because they were constructed illegally.
Yes, it is. Actually, at the moment, we're still waiting for the arrival of the governor, who's supposed to commission the demolition of this building. We are told that 2 residential buildings are the ones that are meant to be demolished. We haven't gone to the site, awaiting the arrival of the officials from the county government. But yes, this follows the decree, the recent decree by the president on bringing down of substandard buildings. And these substandard buildings are ones that are constructed without permission from the housing department in the county government, Edith.
Now, is this coming in light of what we saw, the construction institution being given powers to prosecute, or is this something that the county government had been planning anyway?
Yes, it comes in light of that, Edith. And you remember the recent house in Huruma which collapsed, killing 4 people, and the visit by the president to around the slums and the settlement areas. So this follows that, and it's been a lot of vigilance because the housing department has been conducting audits on constructions and structures around the city. So they say that this is just the first stop. Today they're going to demolish 2 houses here in Soweto area, in Soweto area, and later on we'll also go to Babadogo. So it's just a systematic process. They are conducting audits in houses around Nairobi, just to confirm that they are put up with the rules that have been set.
Now, Sharon, have you been able to establish whether the people who have been living there, the tenants and the residents, if they had been given any form of notice from the county government?
From what we've been talking, some of the officials are with us here now. We are at the Soweto police station awaiting the arrival of the bulldozer and the governor. But some of the officials we talked to tell us, an official report that they have actually established communication with the perpetrators of these buildings, the owners of the buildings. So we do have the report that they are aware, but we can't confirm this because we haven't arrived at the site yet, Edith.
All right, and Sharon, you did mention earlier that this specific day is going to target homes in Soweto and Babadogo. Are there plans to have this continue on, bring down other buildings which are deemed unsuitable for living in?
Yes, that is what they tell us is the plan, that the department, the housing department, is actually at the moment conducting audits and the survey of buildings and structures around Nairobi, not just in these slum areas, but in all establishments, just to find out and to confirm that all buildings put up conform with the rules that have been set up, the housing rules that have been put down, just to, because there have been a number of cases of houses caving in and having people lose their lives in this, in the wake of this caving in and having down of structures, and that is what the county government is trying to mitigate it.
All right, thank you very much, Sharon Momanyi. Welcome back to KTN Newsdesk. We're glad you're still watching. Now, Nairobi is being sold to tourists, but not for the white sandy beaches, obviously, and not for the game parks, but for something completely different, conference tourism. Michael Karanja, I understand Fred Simiyu has some answers for us.
Quite right, Edith Kimani. We normally associate tourism with just going down to the white sandy beaches or going for a drive to the Masai Mara. But just as we were told, Fred Simiyu, conference tourism.
Right.
How much have we done as a country in terms of attracting the right number of people who are going to come to this country, either for conferences or exhibitions?
Thank you very much, Michael. Kenya has been very strategic in actually promoting more so conference tourism. And this came into act, or came into action when an Act of 2011 was actually put in place. And KICC was actually mandated to promote and market conference tourism, more so designated by the acronym MICE, which stands for Meetings, Incentives, Conferences and Exhibitions for the destination Kenya. And I think that is what has seen a growth of MICE from being position 60 in Africa to right now being position 2 in the entire Africa.
Yeah, I was looking at some numbers on your website, and we were looking at about 2013, we were having like about 3,300 local conferences, and there were about international about 328. The gap between local and international, are we positioning ourselves to attract more of those international type conferences?
Yes, Kenya has actually established a MICE secretariat that is actually it's actually tasked with bidding for international conferences, and this is actually domiciled at KICC, though it has several private players in it. And it brings into play stakeholders from KATO, Kenya Association of Hotel Keepers. We also have KTB, and private players like the Public Relations Society. What we do have is we have a seat that actually brings in members from various associations who are actually bidding for international conferences, and we provide the expertise for this. And in this regard, I'm very happy to state that Kenya has actually managed to host over, like last year we did 38 international conferences, which actually made us be ranked number 2 in Africa, and that's a very good stride for this country.
And obviously you say in Africa, and we're obviously just behind South Africa, who's managed to get that whole conference tourism right. But just looking at where we are between Kenya and South Africa, what are some of the infrastructure that needs to be put in place, from hotels and that whole ecosystem to support the numbers that we can attract, where we can attract even more than 500,000 delegates coming into the country?
Right. Thanks, Mike. I think you've actually hit the nail on the head in that South Africa just came into independence in the 80s, but they had their strategic plan very ready for the convention centers. And within each and every city, from Joburg to Durban to Cape Town, all the way, they actually have convention centers placed there. And we are able to compete with them by the fact that we only have one purpose-built convention center that was actually put in place in 1973 by the founding father of the nation. So that makes us disadvantaged strategically because the supply end does not meet the demand. But with this in place, still we've managed actually to score or to get 38 against South Africa, which had 72 conferences. But the difference actually is the number of convention centers that they have. And to this regard, my minister, Madam Phyllis Kandie, has actually done a very strategic thing by establishing other convention centers that we want to actually work on. And with the support, and with the support of the government, more so the president and his deputy, we've actually earmarked Bomas as the next big thing when it comes to convention centers in the country. What kind of
capacity are we looking for?
We are looking at 300,000 square convention center with a capacity of 15,000 delegates sitting at one setting. You realize KICC, having been done in the 70s, actually has a capacity of 5,000 seated, and this made it look like a monolith then. But with the development and also with the supply coming in and the demand actually increasing, there's need for us to actually open more convention centers that can actually take this demand. I would also want to add that KICC did get a presidential directive to actually establish a new modern convention center. And we're actually working on the feasibility studies, same case with Bomas, so that we can actually amplify the demand side.
And take care of that capacity.
And take care of the capacity.
Thank you very much, Fred Simiu. That has been Fred Simiu, the Managing Director for KICC, just telling us more about conference tourism. And to that regard, they'll be hosting a conference, the MICE conference, from the 23rd to the 26th of January, right over there at KICC, just showcasing what Kenya has to offer in terms of convention space and what can be done. Edith Kimani, what's happening on the AFCON front?
Thank you for your viewership. My name is Edith Kimani. We're just about to wind up this edition of KTN Newsdesk. But first, did you know the very first words uttered on YouTube were, drum roll please? All right, so here we are in front of the elephants. And the person who said this is also the person who uploaded that video, the co-founder, Javed Karim, on April 23rd, 2005. And if you're keen to see the video, it's called Me at the Zoo. This was the world's first YouTube video. Is this information ever going to help you? Probably not. Is it interesting? Yeah. My name is Edith Kimani. Good afternoon.